Welcome back everyone, Derch here, and in today's video I wanted to talk about class mods and how they've changed and what I think about them, because in some ways they've gone forwards, in some ways they've seemed to go backwards in a few ways, and I don't really know what I think about class mods in Borderlands 3 yet. So if we go and look at a class mod, I have a legendary class mod here, and you get a total of 5 skill points boosted. You get a special passive on legendaries, and then you get 3 other passives that are generated from quite a large pool of abilities that they can affect. Now if we go to a purple class mod, you still get 5 points. Now I've seen these at 1, 2, and 3. So you can get different variations of those 5 points split up, but it's 5 points again. And then you have 3 random passives, or sorry, 2 to 3 random passives. I've seen some with 3. And I don't love this. Now, the improvements made, let's start with some improvements, or the one big improvement is, I'm going to go unspec. I think that'll be better for this. So hit the respec, no pets to annoy us. So when I have this here, if I'm not spec'd into these skills, I still get them. And that's a huge win, especially while leveling up in Borderlands 2. You would often find a early on comm with a skill that you just can't get down to, and that was a problem. So that is a big improvement, but in Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, blue comms gave you, at max level, +5 and +6, so a total of 11 points, divided among 2 skills. Purples gave you 4, 4, and 5, which was 13. So you got more points out of that, but you didn't get your +6. So if you didn't care about that third skill, you were better off with a blue, which was an interesting dynamic. And then both of them had a set passive that synergized with the skills. And then legendaries, you usually got 5 skills at +5. Some were actually 6. So 25 to 30 points. They changed kind of with the passives and stuff. And you'd have specific passives, which made them actually quite a bit easier to farm, because you had less things to farm. But this one, you can debate the passives as a plus or a negative. Because if you can find just the right passives, it offers more diversity in the class mods. But it's also a huge pain to try to farm those, because these are all world drops, and to get a world drop with the passives that you want is quite intense. But one of my big problems is synergy outside of the legendary ones. So with these 3 skills, you have no passives to synergize with it. Now in Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, you often had things that linked up together. One of the best examples that I'm going to use for this was Maya's Trickster Comm. So Maya's Trickster Comm boosted 3 skills: Life Tap, Kinetic Reflection, and Chain Reaction. Now this was a really interesting comm, because all 3 of those kind of synergized together, and then the passive was Fire Rate. So at the end of the game, most people used it to primary Chain Reaction, some Kinetic Reflection. But if you would do a purple one, get a Chain Reaction up to 80%, which means it was almost always proccing. The more fire rate you had, the more procs you could have, and the better chain reaction would work. So fire rate was something that synergized with it. And then kinetic reflection, when enemies shot you, you get damage reduction, which helped your survival, but then the bullets would bounce off and hit an enemy. And if phase lock was active, therefore chain reaction was, those bullets that bounced off could proc chain reaction. And then life tap, which gave you lifesteal on damage. Well, every time a bullet bounced, if you had a kill, you would get life tap, so life steal. And if bullets bounced off of you, you would have that damage reduction from kinetic reflection, but then the bullets that bounced off, if you had a kill skill, would proc life tap. So all 3 of these things synergized together perfectly. Now, all 4 with that, was one of the best designed comms, I think, in the game. And that was awesome. And not all were designed that well, but I'm struggling to find those class mods in Borderlands 3, which makes me a little bit on the sad side. But the other thing about the Trickster, which was nice on balance, was fire rate was DPS, chain reaction was DPS, life tap and kinetic reflection were primarily survival. So you had a nice split of survival and DPS. And kinetic reflection would give you a little bit of DPS as well with those bullets bouncing. So it was nicely balanced. But then they had some other ones like Maya's Legendary Catcom, which was 100% pure DPS. And if you wanted to run a glass cannon, you could. And again, this is where I'm struggling with class mods in this game is while there are some really good ones that really help things, they're less impactful in some other ways. I often would use with class mods in my Twisted Pimp. You guys know this if you're longtime viewers of me or even not so long. But what I would do is there are certain skills that I did not need at 10 out of 5. So what I would do is I just put 1 point to get that plus 5. And then I would use those other 4 points to fill out my tree. So I like that in this game, here with the Thrillbot, if I don't need Hidden Machine, I can just take these 3 free points. I don't need to put into it. But the problem is a lot of them are 1 out of 3. So Big Game is 1 out of 3. Well, this is a pretty good skill, but on a lot of skills, just putting 1 point into them is very insignificant. So while that boost is nice, if it's only 1 skill point, it's not that nice. It's kind of wasted. And if you farm up like a purple com where you just have plus 5 in 1 skill, you're going to want to max that out anyways. So it's almost, even though they have that, it's harder to take advantage of it because of so few skill points. Now, I know there's some debate, in this game, if you had all those skill points, things could be broken. And I get that, but I still don't like it. Going to the legendary comms, let's kind of look through Flax, and then I'll do Amara as well. So the bounty hunter here, let's look at synergies. So you have a 3% chance to activate any purchased hunt kill skill while dealing gun damage. This is cool because the hunt skills are quite good. And while 3% is low, it's just dealing gun damage. So you're doing that often enough to proc these. The second part is very cool, that bosses are now treated as humans, beasts, and robotics for Flax hunt skills. Because there are some that only affect certain things, so that is quite sweet. So let's go look at the skills. This is a hunter kill skill. When Flax pets deal damage, their pets gain a stack of frenzy. Each stack of frenzy increases damage. The stacks decay after a few seconds. This is not one of the strongest ones, but it is quite nice because it is shared, so that's good. This is nice, but it's not a kill skill, which is kind of weird. You would think it would focus on the kill skills that it's boosting, but this one is that one where you get the different boost per enemy. But this is a kill skill where you get that, which would be a much better skill to put it in. And then this is a kill skill, and this one is super good, so I like this, but I almost think Big Game should have been in it. Because this is the one where the hunter skills become more effective and have longer duration, which, with all these hunter kill skills, this would seem to be the best skill to get it. So, well, it's not bad. I don't think it's fantastic on the skill choice. Hunter's Eye, sweet skill, not denying that. Most Dangerous Game is an awesome skill. But Big Game would have been a better boost for it, in my opinion, and Interplanetary Stalker would have been better than Hunter's Eye. But that one's pretty solid. That's kind of me nitpicky. The Deadeye, So you deal additional 35% damage against enemies with plus above 75% health. This is really nice for like those big damage hits. It's similar to my Reaper in some ways, and it's always on, which is sweet. So this is more gun damage. That's good. It does affect your pet, but this skill kind of sucks. It would have been better off with Ferocity, probably. And Two Fang seems weird. It doesn't really fit with this that well. Getting that extra projectile is nice, but it doesn't really synergize with that big hit. And that big hit, it works really well with shotguns, which Two Fang is an extra projectile, which is nice on snipers, but it's not really good on shotguns. So again, close, but not like brilliant. And there's no kind of balance here. All of these are just purely DPS, total glass cannon so far. Alright, so the Red Fang is, well, Gamma Burst is active. Flax Pet's Taunt. So that is cool. So you have Eager to Impress, which doesn't really help your pet's survival, but does help your cooldown, so at least it's pet based. He Bites is very good for this, and Ferocity helps your pet deal more damage, but there's not a lot to help your pet survive here other than He Bites, and your pet's going to be taunting a lot. So you do want your pet to hit back, but something like Who Rescued Who, which is a great survival skill, would have been nice. Barbaric Yelp would have actually been nice in this. Mutated Defenses would have been really nice with this. It doesn't seem that focused again. And when you're losing the focus of the other passives, it kind of hurts a little bit worse. Friend Bot. So let's look at this comm first before I go in there. I like this one just for casual play because it keeps my pet alive. The pet does a little bit more damage. So this is a pet comm. So Barbaric Yelp is a very good skill, but that's more for you than your pet. Let's see. Psycho Head on a Stick. That is pretty solid. And then this one isn't that pet focused. Now you do share your regeneration with your pet, but then you have to spec into a lot of health regeneration. So again, if it's pet based, I think we could have gone with a few better skills, but it's pretty close. And that's kind of the thing with all these. Let me see if I can actually get back to my backpack. And then the Rack Commander, this one really pisses me off. So you gain an extra charge of Rack Attack, which is awesome. But then you have these skills that this is kind of your pet comm, but it's not a pet thing. It's a Rack Attack, which is weird. So you get Eager to Impress, which is the one skill I like here, because with the racks, you want to get a lot of cooldown, so you just keep throwing your racks. And if you keep throwing your racks, you can keep getting those anointments procking. So cooldown time is awesome. But He Bites and Ferocity is really pointless on this, because this isn't a pet thing, it's a rack thing. So what do racks benefit from? Cooldown. Head count would have been awesome here. Whoa. Action skill damage would have been awesome here. In fact, it's kind of weird. The racks are red. They're in the hunter tree. And there's not a single hunter tree skill boosted, which is very, very odd again. So a big synergy with the racks is leave no trace in head count. This would have increased the damage of it. There's a lot of things that would have really helped the racks, but we get one skill that synergizes with the racks and two that do not, which is very, very odd.
Leader,
so you can kind of see where
look upon me, for
a bunch of his comms are good, but not like fantastic compared to what we saw in previous games. Let's go look at Amara. Okay, so we're back here with Amara. Let's look at her class mods, because she is much the same. So the Nimbus, the first one I have on here, whenever you damage an enemy with her action skill, she creates a damaging cloud of her action skill element at that location. This is a cool effect. Plays nice with her different action skills. And this actually scales off of your gun's dot damage, so there's some synergies you can find with stuff there. Moxie did a cool build with this. But let's look at the skills. So first of all, Tapestry. This is about putting a cloud out there, so affecting dots is pretty good. This is the one skill you want with this, because you want to increase the elemental damage to really make that cloud do a lot. But this would have been smart too, because it's all about that increased status effect damage. Conflux is really kind of pointless here. So this one's pretty close. Tapestry doesn't do as much as Anima would, and this doesn't really do much at all for you. This just doesn't do a ton. So again, it's close, but not as good a synergy as it could have. And the reason I'm harping on this is with the passives not being able to have guaranteed synergies with anything, you really want better synergy with the skills, especially because you have less skill points, which makes it more important. So when they're not synergistic, it really hurts. The Phase Zerker is a really bad example here. So when you use your action skill, you get max rush stacks, but they decay over time. And you get 3% weapon damage and 10% action skill cooldown rate based on the number of stacks. So this has some really cool synergy with your Mystical Assault tree, especially with Avatar. So you can just really get those stacked up and just really kind of increase some things there. The problem here is, let's look at the skills. Anima does nothing here. I don't know why Conflux is on here. It does nothing with it. And this does nothing with it, but I kind of like it because you get so much DPS out of the passive legendary ability. It's nice to balance out with some healing. And this is something we haven't seen on a lot of them. You're not getting a good balance between DPS and survival on a lot of these comms. So I do like this boosted on there, but the other two skills are pointless, and this one doesn't really match other than bringing balance to it. So this is all about rush stacks. And this is a... Whoops. There's no really rush stack skills. So you have something all about rush stacks, but why would you not boost like Do No Harm, even Violet and Tapestry here? You have rush stacks here. Where is it? Awakening would be perfect here. It's a rush stack class mod with ignoring all the rush stack skills, and that doesn't make any sense to me. And this is probably your best class mod, but it could be so much better. The Bombing Elementalist. Wait, I did that. No, I didn't. Oh, that was a Nimbus I did. So whenever you phase grasp an enemy, her action skill element is applied to all nearby enemies. That passive just seems not as effective as the other ones, but when you go look at the skills, okay, this at least makes some sense. It's status effect. You're passing that action skill element, so they're more likely to get a dot off of it. But then you're boosting infusion, which has nothing to do with that. And is kind of situational if you even want to use it or not, because it can reduce your dots. And Wildfire can get the dots to spread. That's decent, but this is the one where you definitely want Tempest and Anima boosted, because you want to increase that dot damage. So you're ignoring your primary 2 skills you want boosted on this. And if you did Violent Tapestry, Anima, and Tempest, you could do a cool dot build with this. But you're not. So again, it's kind of like you have this cool dot build, and people want a dot build, and then you're not giving them the skills to do it on the class mod. The Dragon, so this is melee damage. Whenever Amara kills an enemy with a melee attack, her action skill augment is triggered. Now you'll notice all these skills are blue, and her melee tree isn't blue. So I'm confused. Why are we all in the Mystical Assault tree? So we have Do Harm, which increases action skill damage. Now you can activate her action skill augment, but a lot of them are health, stillness of mind, you hold them up, singularity. The only really augment this works with would maybe be Revelation. So doing that augment trigger, there's not much damage with that. So Do Harm is a really good skill for her that works with a lot of things. But on this class mod, it's questionable. Now you are going to want to do your action skill a lot to proc this, so maybe. But then you have cooldown. So again, this is all about proccing your action skill. Someone's letting me up on Discord. I thought I had it turned off. And then you have Remnant, which is your action skill elemental damage on overkill, but that has nothing to do with melee. So like here you've got melee damage. You've got your melee damage here too, so Illuminated Fist would have been cool. Oh, sorry. Brawl. Yeah, Find Your Center. Helping Hands works well with melee. It's just, there's really no melee synergy with this. And she doesn't have a lot of melee skills, so you would think you could boost those on a melee class mod. But they're not doing that, which I just find odd. And it's still her best probably melee class mod, but it's just weird that it doesn't boost any melee damage. You know, cooldown and Do No Harm is good. Remnant seems really kind of wasted on this. I don't know. I find that kind of odd. And then her last one, the Rope-a-Dope. So I do not have any of these with the 3 skills, so I just grabbed this one. But the third skill is personal space. So Amara gains damage reduction. The bonus is based on the distance to the enemy. The closer the enemy, the greater the bonus. So this one I think is her best comm for synergy-wise. So personal space, this is all about being close to your enemy and getting damage reduction. So it gives you survival as the passive. Personal space gives you a ton of bonus damage on that. That's awesome. This one gives you melee. If you're playing up close, you're gonna a lot of times be doing melee, or if you're doing melee, you're gonna be up close. So it boosts this and the melee range. This is all awesome. And this one kind of encourages that hybrid. When you do melee damage, you increase your action skill damage. So this is a really cool class mod for a melee build style, or a kind of a hybrid build style. Very, very good. Very nice. Boost all sorts of good things. But that's really her only one that's really kind of set up right with all 3 skills. And saw the same thing on Flak. And I don't see the great synergy with these class mods right now. And in Borderlands 2 in the pre-sequel, there's a lot of times where you'd actually prefer like a blue or a purple class mod over a legendary one. And in this game, I'm not finding a ton of that. Because of just you're getting the same skills. Yeah, it's just you don't have that kind of great synergy like the monk for Sal or the trickster for Maya, or so many of these things where there's a lot of times there was a blue or purple class mod that would synergize so well with a playstyle it was better than a legendary. And I'm not seeing that in this game as much yet. It's early, but the other problem I have is they feel too close to artifacts, because you're getting those 3 random passives that kind of, although they're usually different, because I think there's some different pools of what can be boosted. They really seem to overlap with the artifacts for those. And then the artifacts have kind of a passive built into them. And they just seem a little too close to artifacts, in my opinion. Where the difference between relics and class mods used to be bigger before, and now they feel a little closer. So it almost feels like we're repeating gear. And with both of them, again, a lot of times you're just so focused on those 3 passives of getting those right ones. It's just not fantastic. So overall, I love this game, but I don't love how they handle class mods. Yeah, I like parts of it, but overall they seem less impactful than they did in previous games. And I'm not a huge fan of that right now. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Am I off basis here? Is the fact that we can get the free points meaning that doing class mods in the same way would be way too broken? I don't know. And I guess we'll see with level caps and stuff, but I'm almost thinking if we get level caps, class mods are going to become even less impactful than they are now when we have more skills. Just adding 5 skills and passive when you have even more skill points seems less impactful even further. So hopefully they do something with level caps to make class mods a little more impactful, or they're going to feel a little sad. That's all I got for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.